female dwarf that we will ever see on screen. Woo, woo, woo!
This is a show that seemingly reflects much more of our world today, right? And has some modern sensibilities to it. Talk to me about like why that's necessary, obviously, and important, obviously, but like it's not something that has traditionally been the case in fantasy.
I think it is time. I think with a franchise of this scale, it is so important that we make it as accessible as we possibly can for every single generation.
It's just going to mean so much to like me personally because it's getting that representation in Middle-earth.
It is so time for us to expand the accessibility and the opportunity for this world, Tolkien's world, to be seen in a way that it hasn't been seen. There are so many diverse people out there who will have really enjoyed all of the works that we've seen before, but now they get to see themselves staring back at them. Like, that's incredibly important.
I also want to say representative, because we're getting like more diversity within this series. Like, we're seeing our first black elf, we're seeing the first female dwarf, and I'm very looking forward to like looking at that.
It's so great to be able to have so many faces now to extend the accessibility for people like me to see themselves staring back at them in such a huge franchise.
This to me just feels like something that has just the furthest possible reach, and you know, we're choosing to tell it in these times, so we should represent it for these times.
It'll be so cool to be able to see more female representation, to maybe see them actually interact with one another.
I play Princess Disa. She is a dwarf, the first female dwarf that we will see.
I just think of my young self and how she would feel to see me on screen, and I have a young daughter and how she will feel to see me on screen. So I think that is, it's incredibly important in more ways than one.
Sophia, I cannot tell you what a thrill it was to see you up on the screen as the first female dwarf depicted from this world. I mean,
first ever female dwarf to ever truly be seen. You know, she is the first female dwarf that we have ever seen on screen. First female dwarf as a female dwarf. Female dwarf.
Female dwarf.
Female dwarf. Female dwarf. Female dwarf. Female dwarf. Female dwarf. Female dwarf. Female dwarf. Female dwarf.